So if you guys watch a lot of computer science videos on YouTube, you probably know who Devin Crawford is. And he had a video called The Reality of Programming, which I thought was really cool. But he hasn't posted on YouTube in over a year, so I'm just going to copy that video.
The first thing we're going to need is a lot of pictures. Unfortunately, Harvard doesn't keep a public centralized Facebook, so I'm going to have to get all the images from the individual houses that people are in. Let the hacking begin.
I'm switching to business. So I just finished my freshman year in college for computer engineering, and I want to talk a little bit about what programming is actually like. And I'm by no means an expert, but I have been doing it for a while, and I think I can give a little insight into it. I think people think that programmers are wizards and always know exactly what they're doing when they're starting a new project, and that is just not the case. Sometimes you know exactly what you're doing and you're able to program for hours without stopping.
Mark!
He's wired in. Sorry? He's wired in.
Is he?
Yes.
But other times you just stare at the screen while the cursor's blinking at you. So I'd consider myself a pretty good programmer for where I am in college. But whenever I start a new project, a new game, or just an assignment for a class, usually like 60 to 70% of my time is spent not actually like designing the program, but just fixing errors with it. Alright, so now I want to explain what makes programming so hard and why most of programmers' times, at least mine, is devoted to debugging and fixing errors. So I'm going to talk about syntax and memory, and yeah. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys a little bit of C++ and the different kinds of errors you can get. So first I'm just going to code up a little hello world. Alright, so all this program does is print out hello world to the screen, and it works perfectly. But if you forget to put in a semicolon, or you forget to put in the quotations, the compiler will see that and it'll know that you have not put in syntax according to the guidelines of C++, and it will give you an error. So when you get a syntax error, the compiler tells you what you're doing wrong, but sometimes it's harder to understand what the compiler is telling you than other times. For example, I have two files here, .h file and .cpp file for a node, and basically these files just need to communicate with each other using these include. So the CPP file has all of the information from the .h file, but if you take this away, then all of these things become undefined and you'll get a bunch of syntax errors because the compiler doesn't know what's going on. So just one line can cause a lot of errors, which can make debugging and fixing errors pretty hard. So the other type of error that you can get in programming is called a segmentation fault, and it's a lot harder to fix than syntax errors, and it has to do with memory rather than the actual code that you're typing. So for example, if I create a data structure, let's say we're making a stack and just call it my stack, and basically a stack is kind of like a list. It's a collection of things. And so if let's pretend I have the methods for a stack, and if I tried to remove something from an empty stack, obviously there's no memory there to remove anything from, so we would get an error from the compiler. But all of the syntax of my program is correct, and seg faults are really difficult to fix because unlike a syntax error, you don't get any information about what you're doing wrong. So when you get one of these and you have a giant program, you have to kind of scour through the whole thing to see how you're manipulating the memory and where you went wrong.
Weird. This may be difficult. I'll come back later.